Hello everybody, and we're back here again with Coach Philip Shadowens. This is game 9, week 9. So first off, I guess I'm the first medium outlet other than the newspaper on Friday night. Let's talk about last Friday night and kind of where did you feel like the three things that maybe where you felt like that we could have done better. I know there were probably many of things you felt like you could have done better, but is there a couple of things you'd like to mention?
Well, yeah, there's obviously, there's some things that we could have done better. Give Oakland credit; they played well on both sides of the ball. I thought they played well, and first of all, we lost the field possession battle, especially early on, and we've kind of dominated that all year long. We've kind of dominated special teams all year long and field possession, and Friday night we didn't do that. We gave them a short field way too many times. I thought our defense actually played really well because constantly in the first half they started on our end of the field, and that hurt us obviously the first drive. They got the ball on the 30 and drove 30 yards for a score. But so I thought first of all we lost that battle. And you can't, in that kind of game you got to win the field possession battle. And we didn't do that. And secondly, I thought offense, but just in general we played poorly. We didn't block them very well. We didn't execute very well in the backfield. We didn't run routes very well. There wasn't a whole lot of positives on the offensive side, and give Oakland credit for that. I thought their defensive front and backers kind of dominated us and never allowed us to do some things we really wanted to do athletically. So one of them nights where I thought our kids played really hard. Looking back at the video and studying video of the game numerous times, I can't complain about our kids' effort. Our kids' effort was great. We just didn't play well,
Right.
Great effort don't always mean great playing, and we just didn't execute, and thought we started pressing, and when you try to do too much, sometimes you're not really doing the right things, and I thought we were kind of guilty of that at times in the second half, just trying to do too much.
Well, we were on the 30 that time, and normally when you get within 30 yards with your team and the squad you've had in the past, you've been pretty successful of taking it. That's kind of 30 yards in. That's kind of been your staple as your red zone, not really from the 20, but you've really been able to capitalize. If you're 30 yards within, you're going to get something out of it. It just, a fumble or just whatever. It just seemed like just one thing right after another, the best laid plans, and then that, you can have the best plans in the world, but the problem is it's X's and O's on papers, and it's Jims and Joes when we get in the game. So
right, and we didn't do a good enough job as coaches. I think coaches first of all have to take responsibility when you lose, because obviously your plan wasn't good enough, and your ideas wasn't good enough, and what you thought was going to happen didn't happen. So we'll take responsibility as coaches for that. We didn't have the right game plan in. Obviously, if we would have, we'd have won. So I think that's us first of all, and all I can ask our kids to do is play with great effort, and they did that. And we have to get them to execute better. That's our job as coaches. That's why we're called coach. And we didn't get them executing well enough, and but they did the things I asked them to do. They played hard. They played with great effort. They played with relentlessness on defense, and that's a big word we use on our defense, is playing relentless. We did that, but yet we didn't execute well enough, and so that comes back on us as coaches. We got to get them executing better.
How did the seniors and the overall squad and your team, I don't want to just X out seniors, but how did they handle the loss? And just you feel like they're grunting and mad and really want to come back after it this week? Because we'll talk about that next opponent here in the next couple of questions.
Oh, absolutely. They've led all year long. They've done a good job being leaders all year long, and when things haven't gone good, they've done a good job being leaders. So that's what I've gotten this week in practice. I've gotten a bunch of kids that have really worked hard, and it's been very, very physical in practice, and extremely physical in practice, and that's what I want. It's not acceptable to lose a game, and I want our kids to make sure they understand that, and they've responded the way I'd hoped they would, and they're ready to go. The only way to kind of get past that bad feeling and that little, losing hangover or whatever is to play again. And before you can play again, you got to practice, and you got to correct things and get better, and you got to work and all those things. And they've done that this week, and they're anxious, very anxious to get to another Friday night so they can get that, have an opportunity to get that bad taste out of their mouth.
Well, and that's what everybody understands is whether it's losses or wins, you can't continue to look in the rearview mirror. The minute that's over, no different in our sales deal. We dwell on it. We get to the end of the year and they'll announce the performance and they'll say, that's great. Now here's quota for next year. Now let's talk about for the next 2 days, how are we going to get to the end of the gate to that quota? So you don't have, whether it's a win or loss, you can't dwell on it. You got to go forward.
No, and there's a reason why God puts eyes in the front of your head, and that's because He expects you to look forward, not look behind. You can't do anything about the past. And that's what I've told our kids. But I honestly believe, and what I've shared with our kids, is that as humans we fail. As a team, you have failures. Whether you're winning every game or not, you still fail on plays, or you fail in a series of plays, or whatever. And failure doesn't determine the kind of human you are or the kind of team you are. It's how you respond to failure that will make the man that you are, make the football team that you are. And that's what I told our kids. I shared that with them Monday night. I shared it with them again tonight after practice, is that our response to our failure will determine what kind of football team we are, and what kind of humans we are, what kind of men we are, and I think football teaches you a lot about life, and this is one of those times where, how do you respond to a disappointing loss, to a failure, because you either succeed or you fail on Friday night, you either win or lose, and we lost, so that's a failure. And how do you respond to that as a team and as individual men? And I have no doubt that our kids will respond with unbelievable effort and a willingness to do whatever it takes to win a football game. And if they do that, that'll probably be good enough to win. But all I can ask is give us great effort and play with the passion and the composure that you need to play with, and to execute what we ask you to do. And I think we've gotten better with the execution part, and I have no doubt we'll play with great passion Friday night.
Great. Let's just talk about Ron Crawford and the Brentwood Bruins and what we're going to be facing with them. Talk about their offense. They got Coffee, and they got another kid named Evans. Let's talk about those two. And
two best players. Yeah. Coffee is the kid that everybody's heard about. He's a running backs. Got 14,000 yards this year or whatever he's got. A whole bunch of yards this year. He's probably close to 1,000 already, I would say. I don't know that. I haven't looked at his stats. I just know that every time you look at him on video, he looks pretty daggum good. And the Evans kid is their best athlete, the pure athlete. Line him up at different spots, trying to get him the ball, toss sweep, with some reverse, throwing in the ball, playing some defense at times as a corner. He's their best athlete on the football team, and so they're going to try to find ways to get the ball to those two kids. But they also have some other kids. They got a 6'5" receiver.
Wow.
It's a tall, thin kid. He's 6'5", 180 pounds, but they like to throw it up there to him and
see if he can jump up and catch.
And that's not a great matchup for our 5'7", 5'8" corners, but our 5'7" and 5'8" corners will battle you. And so I'm not scared of the matchup. If he catches 3 touchdown passes, maybe congratulations to him. But we're not going to do anything different than we've been doing. We expect our kids to be in great body position, great technique, and those things sometimes make up for the lack of size that you have. And plus, all our guys can jump too. So I expect them to go up and get the ball. And if not, we can rip arms apart if we can't. So that's a tough matchup for us too. But about Ron Crawford. He's going to be a well-prepared team. Going to be solid defensively. Dan Renfrew's our offensive coordinator. Going to be very fundamentally sound on offense. And those things anytime you get that team. And so that's what I expect from them. And it's senior night for them. And we just got our senior night kind of blown out of the water last week. And it'd be nice to repay somebody that favor.
That'd be great. They do also have a very good defensive linebacker, from what I understand. And talk about him. I understand he's a 2-time wrestling state champion.
Yes.
And is very good and very athletic, and and presents some problems for some of the teams they have already played.
Well, sure, he's their best defender. He's a good player, and I can't remember his name. I know his number, but I can't remember his name. Yes, and you got to get him blocked. But they got a good defensive lineman too, and number 64. They got they got more than just 1 or 2 kids. You hate to start talking individually, because I think from just a team standpoint, they're very sound and run the ball well, and they fight you hard. And they're 7-1, and they're ranked in the top 5, whatever they're ranked. I don't know what they're ranked, but they're ranked up somewhere up there. So, which means nothing. But but they're a good football team. They're 7-1, and they're going to be really well coached, really eager to play us, and we'll be eager to play them too. So. It should be a great battle. That's the thing about high school football, and especially when you're playing the kind of teams we're playing right now, is that every week's it's going to be a fun week, and every week's a battle, and you got to be ready to play, and our kids will be ready.
Great. Let's talk about another topic that's generating a lot of chatterbox on message boards and papers, and everybody's talking about the seeding of the playoffs. And I know it's not playoffs, but these last 2 games, they do involve the seeding, so you can't avoid it. You've got to talk about it, and wins are important because it'll decide where you go and how they lay out the quadrants and the brackets. So talk a little bit about that and how important it is just to, you know, and I hate to use a cliche, but listen, you know, got to nail these last two and really set yourself up for the second half of the season, as you always talked, because the first half is preparing for the second half.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, you got to take the steps to get ready for the second half of the season, because you can be 10-0 and get knocked out in the first round. That don't mean a thing.
Right. You got. I mean, it is about seeding, but you know, to me, it's about winning one Friday night. I don't get overwhelmed with all that stuff. Our goal is to make it to the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Which I've been told we have. So I think that's a definite from what I understand. That's our first goal. Obviously, you want to have a home game if you can, but I don't get caught up in worrying about all that kind of stuff. But I do know this: we win the next two ball games, we're the district champs, and we're tied for the district champs. We're the number 1 seed, and which guarantees us obviously the first round at home. But if you win the first round, probably the second round, and possibly you can play at home throughout. It just depends on how the bracket forms. But
right.
But I do know that, and other than that. You know, it's just important because it's our next game, and we want to freaking win, and we want to get the loss out of your mouth. I mean, you know, all that other stuff's great, but I'll be honest with you, I don't talk to the kids about all that stuff. I talk to the kids about, you know, this is the next one. We want to win it because we don't want to lose.
Right.
And that's my whole thing. I mean, you know, whatever motivates you. I mean, if you're out of the playoffs, in the playoffs, you know, trying to get a seed in the playoffs, you know, all that stuff is good. But the bottom line is you better not want to lose. And you better hate to lose. And, you know, I've never seen a person that likes to lose that didn't lose all the time. I've never seen and I call that.
It's habit for it.
Yeah, I call that being a good loser. If you're a good loser, then you're going to lose all the time. I don't mean be a bad sport when you lose. I mean, you obviously got to be classy, win or lose. But if you're a good loser, then you're going to lose the rest of your life. I mean, you can't accept failure.
Right.
And if you don't respond to that failure, then you're going to lose at things the rest of your life. I mean, and so that's a message that we want to tell our kids about football. It's going to really pertain to life a whole lot more than it is just football, but it does pertain to football. And we don't want to be good losers, and I know our kids hadn't been. Our kids were devastated Friday night and been hurt throughout the week and kind of had a tough time getting over it. So we got over it by practicing really hard. And so we want to win because we don't like the feeling when we lose. I mean, you know, you compete, you get 10 games guaranteed, and this is the next one, and that's why we want to win more than all those other reasons, which are important. But the main reason is it's the next one, and we want to go win.
Well, let's wrap it up. Do you have anything else you'd like to say, or anything else that's on your mind other than these bugs?
These mosquitoes are killing me right now. No, don't really have anything else. I'm proud of our kids. I'm proud of the effort they're making, and that hasn't changed because we lost a football game on Friday night. Keep giving great effort, and great things happen to teams, and keep practicing hard, and great things happen to teams. And so that's the expectations. We're going to work hard. We're going to keep fighting. Not worried about the fact we're already in the playoffs. You know, we're worried about winning the next football game and getting this taste out of our mouth and kind of getting over, moving on past the loss, which you have to do. And I think our kids are ready to do that, and we'll be excited Friday night, ready to go.
Thank you a lot. And once again, I appreciate you spending the time with us. This makes our 9th show, and I've just enjoyed it all season long. And you're just a fantastic coach and a great person. And you and I, we share a lot of things, and this is our little time every week, and able to let the people know out there just kind of what's going on with Blackman Blaze and Coach Shadowens. So I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
It's been fun, and hopefully we're just getting started.
Okay, all righty. With that, Coach Shadowens, he'll load up the Blaze, and that'll be not tomorrow night, since we're doing the show here on Wednesday night. That'll be on Friday night, and kickoff is at 7:30.
7:30.
Yeah, because sometimes we do it at 7. You know, when it's
senior night starts at 7 for them, so kickoff is at 7:30 for sure.
7:30, and that is at Brentwood, or the Brentwood Bruins, and we'll travel over there. And so looking forward. So all the fans come out and everybody, and let's get on the road and go try to get a W.